Hello students. So today we will start our next topic, which is types of magnetic material. The first category of magnetic material is diamagnetic materials. So diamagnetic materials are those materials which are slightly repelled by a magnetic field, and the material does not retain the magnetic properties when the external field is removed. Okay, when we put any diamagnetic material inside a magnetic field, so that times the magnetic field inside the material is repelled by the by the external magnetic field, and the magnetic properties of this diamagnetic material vanishes as soon as we switch off the external magnetic field. Okay, so these magnetic materials have a weak and negative susceptibility, and the example of these materials are copper, silver and gold. Okay, all these metals, they are behaving as diamagnetic materials. The second category is paramagnetic materials, and paramagnetic materials are those which are slightly attracted by the magnetic field, and again these materials also do not retain the magnetic properties when the external field is removed. Okay, the difference between dia and para is, in case of diamagnetic materials, these materials are slightly repelled by the magnetic field, and para, they are slightly attracted by the magnetic field. Okay, so similarly, the for this paramagnetic materials, the magnetic susceptibility is small and positive. Okay, while in case of diamagnetic material, the magnetic susceptibility is positive. Okay, small and for the diamagnetic case, the magnetic susceptibility is small and negative, and for paramagnetic it is small and positive. Okay, and the examples of paramagnetic materials are magnesium, platinum, palladium, lithium. All these are examples of paramagnetic materials. Then we come to the third category of materials, which is ferromagnetic materials. So ferromagnetic materials are those which are strongly attracted by magnetic field and are able to retain their magnetic properties even after the removal of external field. Okay, so ferromagnetic materials are those materials which are strongly attracted by the magnetic field and they retain their magnetic properties even if we remove the external magnetic field. The example of magnetic material is iron, cobalt. All are ferromagnetic substances. So these are broadly three category of class of different magnetic materials: dia, para and ferromagnetic. But we do have another category of magnetic materials like antiferromagnetic, ferrimagnetic, antiferromagnetic materials, but those categories or those materials are not your syllabus. So we will stick to these three categories: diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic. Okay, now we will discuss few important definitions which we are going to use quite a lot in this unit, which is magnetic induction. Okay, a magnetic induction means a magnetic material placed in a magnetic field gets magnetized. Okay, and the magnetization so produced in the substance is called induced magnetization. The field inside the magnetic material gets modified, and the magnetic induction at a point inside the magnetic material is the total number of magnetic field lines crossing per unit area around that point, and the area being held perpendicular to the field lines. Okay, so what is this magnetic induction? A magnetic material, when we place that magnetic material in a magnetic field, it gets magnetized. Okay, so the magnetization so produced in the substance is called induced magnetization, because it has induced due to that external field in which we have placed our magnetic material. So in that case, the field inside the magnetic material, it gets modified. Okay, the magnetic induction at a point inside the magnetic material is given by is equal to the total number of magnetic field lines crossing per unit area around that point, and the area being held perpendicular to the field lines. It is denoted by capital B, and it is also called the magnetic flux density. The SI unit of B is Weber per meter square. or Tesla. This is how we define this magnetic induction B or magnetic flux density B. Okay. Another important parameter is magnetizing field intensity or magnetizing intensity. It is denoted by H. Okay. A magnetic substance placed in an external magnetic field gets magnetized. The magnetization so produced in the substance is called induced magnetization, and the strength of external field is called magnetizing field intensity. Okay. The strength of external magnetic field is called magnetizing field intensity. Okay. So this H or magnetizing field intensity, it is the measure of the strength of the magnetizing field. Okay. And magnetizing field intensity can also be defined as the degree to which a magnetic field can magnetize a substance. Okay. So what is H? H is the measure of the strength of the magnetizing field, means the field in which we have kept our substance. So the strength of that magnetizing field, okay, is known as, the measure of the strength of that magnetizing field is known as H, magnetizing field intensity. Okay, the SI unit of magnetic field intensity is ampere per meter. Okay, or it is joules per Tesla meter cube. Okay, so next we will define intensity of magnetization. The intensity of magnetization of a magnetizing substance is defined as the extent to which a substance is magnetized when placed in a magnetizing field and depends upon the nature of the substance. Okay, so we need to understand difference between H and I. H is what? The H is magnetizing intensity or magnetic field intensity. What is H? H is the strength of the magnetizing field. Okay, or the degree or strength up to which a magnetizing field can magnetize the substance. That is H. Okay, and what is I? I is the intensity of magnetization of a magnetizing substance. It is the extent to which a substance is magnetized. Okay, so means it is the inherent or internal property of the magnetic material. Okay, and it depends on its nature, means how much that magnetic material can get magnetized. Okay, so quantitatively it is defined as the magnetic dipole moment induced per unit volume of the given substance. Whenever we put any substance inside the magnetic field, so how much magnetic dipole moment induced per unit volume of that substance, so that will give us the intensity of magnetization of that substance. Okay, also the magnetization of substance is due to the equivalent surface current. Now the magnetic moment of a surface current loop is given by I into A. Okay, where I is the surface current, I is the surface current in a loop of area A. Now let there be an N equivalent surface current loops in length L of the core conductor. Okay, in that case the total magnetic moment of the whole length of a conductor will be N times I into A. Okay, if A is the area of cross section of the core conductor or current loop as taken as magnetizing substance and L is the length, be its length, then the volume of the core conductor will be A into L. And intensity of magnetization, if you remember quantitatively how we have defined this, it is magnetic dipole moment per unit volume. So magnetic dipole moment per unit volume, total magnetic moment of the conductor we have calculated, it is N times I into A over volume, which is A into L. So A will get cancelled out, we left with Ni by L. Okay, so in the unit of intensity of magnetization I is ampere per meter. Okay, another important parameter is magnetic susceptibility. It's very important parameter, and we do discuss about this property in our introduction, where we define different class of materials, diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic. Okay, depending upon the value of this magnetic susceptibility, we can we can define a material, is it a paramagnetic, diamagnetic or ferromagnetic. Okay, but theoretically, how we define this magnetic susceptibility? Magnetic susceptibility of a magnetic material is defined as the measure of the ease with which the given material gets magnetized. Okay, it will it's so what is magnetic susceptibility? It is represented by this letter chi. Okay, and it will give us the measure of the ease with which the given material gets magnetized, means how easily any material gets magnetized. Okay, or quantitatively, it is defined as the ratio of the intensity of magnetization I induced in the material to the magnetizing field H in which material is placed. Okay, so thus Im will be so thus chi m will be I by H. Okay, and as we have just seen that the units of I and H, intensity of magnetization and magnetizing field intensity, they have same units, so chi m will have no units. Okay, the chi m magnetic susceptibility is unitless quantity. Okay, now we define one more important property of magnetic material, it is magnetic permeability. Okay, and what is that? For any magnetic substance, it is the measure of the extent up to which magnetic field penetrates inside the specimen of the given substance. Okay, it will measure the extent. Okay, what is magnetic permeability? It is measure of the extent up to which the magnetic field penetrates inside the specimen of the given substance, and it is found that B is directly proportional to H. Okay, B is our magnetic flux density, which is proportional to magnetic field magnetizing field intensity. So B is directly proportional to H, so B will be equal to mu H, where mu is called permeability of the specimen and its value is different for different substance. Again, this mu is the inherent property of the material or the substance, and it is different for different substance. Okay, so now it is clear from equation 1 that the magnetic permeability of a given material is defined as the ratio of magnetic flux density in the specimen to the magnetizing field intensity across it. Okay, further, relative permeability of a substance is given by mu r is given by mu 0 is the ratio of permeability of a substance to the permeability of the free space. Okay, the relative permeability also has no units, but the magnetic permeability mu, it has SI unit, which is equal to Weber per ampere per meter. Okay, so these are the important definitions or important parameters which we use quite a lot in the magnetism. Okay, so now we are aware of the basic terminology which we use in this magnetism, like magnetic field intensity B, magnetizing field intensity H, intensity of magnetization I, then magnetic susceptibility chi, and magnetic permeability mu. Now we'll find out a relation between this B, H and I. Okay, this is a very important relation which we use quite a lot in the coming lectures or in the coming syllabus. Okay, so when a magnetic material is placed in a magnetizing field of intensity H, okay, this material will get magnetized. Okay, the resultant magnetic induction B in the material will be the sum of the magnetic field induction B0 in vacuum, okay, which was there when we do not have magnetic field around this material, okay, plus magnetic induction produced by the magnetic intensity and the magnetic induction Bm produced by the, okay, so now we'll find out the relation between B, H and I. So see what will happen when a magnetic material is placed in a magnetizing field of intensity H, the material gets magnetized. Okay, the resultant magnetic induction B in the material is the sum of the magnetic induction B0 in vacuum produced by the magnetic intensity, okay, plus magnetic induction Bm produced by the magnetization of the material, okay. So the total magnetic induction B will be sum of these two, B0 and Bm, and we just know that B is directly proportional to H, so B0 will be mu 0 H and Bm will be mu 0 I, okay. So therefore total B will be mu 0 H plus mu 0 I, okay, and mu 0 can be taken outside, then it will be H plus I, okay. Or we can rewrite this equation again, B0 will be equal to mu 0 if we take H outside this bracket, then it will become 1 plus I by H, and this I by H is nothing but the magnetic susceptibility, okay. So now using B is equal to mu 0 H, okay, and chi m is equal to I by H, what we will get, the B will be replaced by mu 0 H, which is equal to mu 0 H 1 plus chi m, okay. So H will get cancelled out, so what we are left with, this will be mu is equal to mu 0 1 plus chi m, okay. Or if we want to define the relative permeability, then we will divide this mu by mu 0, okay. So mu or relative permeability will be mu over mu 0, which is equal to 1 plus chi m, okay. This is a very important relation which we use quite a lot in the coming lecture, okay, and this is the relation between relative permeability and the magnetic susceptibility of a material, okay. So now see the case for the vacuum, okay, chi m will be 0, okay. For vacuum chi m will be 0, so mu r will be 1, okay. Relative permeability for a vacuum will be 1, okay. For vacuum, why chi m will be 0? Because the intensity of magnetization I, that will be 0, because there is, for vacuum there will be no material, okay. So I will be 0, therefore chi m will be 0. But for paramagnetic and ferromagnetic material, chi m will be positive, okay. So mu r will be greater than 1, okay. For paramagnetic, chi m is positive but it has small value, but for ferromagnetic, chi m is positive and large value, okay. And for diamagnetic material, the magnetic susceptibility is negative, and therefore mu r will be less than 1, okay. So this is an important relation between B, H and I, from which we have calculated relation between relative permeability and the magnetic susceptibility, okay. Next we'll do one more important article, which is about atom as a magnetic dipole, how this magnetism arises inside a material, okay. So that we will discuss here. As we already know, for any material to be magnetic, or if we talk about the magnetism, the must condition is charges has to be in motion, okay. The stationary charges cannot produce magnetic field, okay. So for magnetism, the must condition is charges has to be moving, okay. So but we see there are many materials which have this magnetism, okay. So the basic cause of magnetism is movement of charges, and it is inherent in the model, atomic model, which we consider for the atoms, okay. Like we talk about Bohr atomic model, in which we have considered that nucleus is stationary and the electrons revolve around the nucleus in the circular orbit, okay. So in circular orbits, electrons are revolving, that means charges is moving in that circular orbit. So that is the basic cause of magnetism related with the material, okay. So we'll explain this in this article, which is atom as a magnetic dipole. So as we have already discussed, in every atom an electron revolves around the nucleus in a definite path called the orbit of electron. The negatively charged electron revolving around the nucleus is equivalent to a tiny current loop having the orbital magnetic dipole moment. Okay, and beside the orbital motion, an electron also spin about its own axis. It is similar to the spinning sphere of electron charge, and when an electron spins, the charge on its motion, which continues, constitutes an electric current, thus producing magnetic field. Okay, so this is nothing but similar what I had explained. A moving charge moving in the circular orbit is equivalent to the current crossing through that loop. Okay, so let us consider an atom in which a charge of E is revolving in a circular orbit of radius r around a nucleus. Okay, the motion of this electron constitutes an electric current I, and I is given by this, which is E by T. Okay, I is this. Suppose we have this charge positive nucleus, and around this nucleus an electron is revolving in the circular orbits having charge E. Okay, where T is the time period of revolution of the electron, and omega is the angular velocity of the electron. Okay, T is the time period of revolution of electron, and if omega is the angular velocity of the revolving electron, then we know this time period. Okay, then we know what we have considered. We have considered this nucleus, and around this nucleus this electron is revolving in a circular orbit. Okay, and it has a time period of T. Time period is what means, suppose if electron starts from this position, time to complete one revolution around this nucleus, that is the time period. Okay, and if omega is the angular velocity of the electron, so in that case I will be E by T. Okay, or this T will be 2 pi by omega. So this I will become this thing, I will be E omega by 2 pi. Okay, I will be E omega by 2 pi. Now if we want to calculate the magnetic moment of the current loop, okay, it will be I into A, where I is the current passing through the current loop, and A is the area of circular orbit of the electron. Okay, so this PM, magnetic moment of this current loop, will become I into what is A, because it's a circular orbit, area will be pi r square. So now substitute I from above, it will become E omega by 2 pi into pi r square. Pi will get cancelled out, and we left with this term E omega r square by 2. Okay, so as we have considered Bohr atomic model for the explanation of this atom as a magnetic dipole. Okay, so according to Bohr atomic theory, we also know an electron in an atom is permitted to revolve only in that orbit for which angular momentum mr square omega is an integral multiple of h by 2 pi. Okay, means as per Bohr atomic theory, only those orbits are possible in which the angular momentum of the electron is quantized an integral multiple of h by 2 pi. Okay, so mr square omega will become nh by 2 pi, where n is a quantum number having value 1, 2, 3 and so on. Okay, now we have just calculated magnetic moment of the current loop, which was Pm, and which is equal to E r square omega by 2. Okay, if we multiply this with m and divide by this by m, then this will become mr square omega into E by 2m. Okay, now substitute, this will become E by m into mr square omega, and mr omega is what? It is the angular momentum of the electron, and as per Bohr atomic theory, this angular momentum will be equal to integral multiple of h by 2 pi. Okay, so this equation will become this: Pm will be E by 2m into nh by 2 pi, or it can be written as ENH by 4 pi m. Okay, so this term, this nh over 4 pi m, okay, this term nh over 4 pi m can be written as Pm will be equal to n times mu b, where mu b is equal to EH by 4 pi m, and this term is known as Bohr magneton. The value of the magnetic moment is known as the Bohr magneton, which is equal to EH by 4 pi m. Okay, where we know what is E is the electronic charge of the electron, H is the Planck's constant, and m is the mass of the electron, and we know all these are constant values. Now substituting the value of E, H and m in this equation, okay, so mu b will be this, okay, by substituting E is equal to 1.6 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb, okay, H is 6.6 10 raised to power minus 34 joule second, and m is 9 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kg. All are in SI units. So we have calculated mu b, and its value is found to be 9.27 into 10 raised to power minus 27 joule per Tesla. Okay, this is the value of Bohr magneton, and this is the amount of magnetism produced by a single electron revolving around the nucleus in a atom. Okay, so an electron thus has orbital magnetic moment. Okay, this we have calculated orbital magnetic moment. Similarly, because electron is revolving okay, this is the magnetic orbital magnetic moment, and spin magnetic moment of equal amount. Okay, the magnetic moment acquired by an atom thus depend upon the size of the electron orbit and the spinning motion. Okay, in some cases the orientation of electron in atoms are such that their magnetic moments due to orbital motion and the spin motion cancel each other exactly, and such atoms are associated with zero dipole moment and are called diamagnetics. In some cases, two magnetic moments are not able to cancel each other effect completely. An atom possibly possesses feeble value of magnetic dipole moment. Such substances are called paramagnetic, and in some special cases the magnetic moments of the atom interact strongly and give rise to strong value of magnetic moments of atoms, and such substances are called ferromagnetic materials. Okay, so this is the reason. See, what we have calculated in this article, we have calculated the magnetic moment due to an electron, okay, which revolves around the nucleus in an atom. Okay, but then we see, or then we observe that this is the case for each and every atom. Okay, each and every atom of periodic table, same thing is going on. Okay, electrons are revolving around the nucleus, but then we see we do not have all the atoms or all the materials do not show magnetic nature. Okay, then what is the cause of that? Why all materials are not magnetic in nature? Okay, the reason for that is that lies in this: actually independent atoms do not exist in nature. Okay, and in an atom we do not have only orbital magnetic moment, we also have spin magnetic moment as well. Okay, so there is a possibility that in some atoms this magnetic moment due to orbital motion and due to the spin motion, okay, that cancel each other effects exactly. Okay, so if that cancel each other effect exactly, in that case the net magnetic moment is 0 for that atom, and because that atom do not show magnetism, then it is diamagnetic material. Okay, but in some cases what will happen, this cancellation of spin and orbital magnetic moment is not complete. Okay, they feebly cancel each other effect, and there is a net feeble dipole moment exists, and those materials having that feeble dipole moment is called paramagnetic material. Okay, and there are some cases, special cases, where the magnetic moments of two atoms interact strongly. Okay, spin magnetic moment and orbital magnetic moment that interact strongly and give rise to net value of magnetic moments of atoms, and such materials or such atoms which behave like this are known as ferromagnetic materials. Okay, so this is a very important lecture regarding the classification of magnetic materials and the important properties which describe these materials, and also the about basic cause of magnetism. Okay, I hope you have understood. If you have any query, then you are welcome. Thank you.